Oh, hi there. Tonight I'd like to talk about the defense of a new mascot called Gritty. A fair amount of people who know National Hockey League sort of stuff have already heard of this character. Essentially, I've heard a lot of derogatory slurs against him. I mean, in the NHL, to really take things seriously, you do have to have a bit of a thicker skin, but that doesn't mean you have to be unkindly about things. However, Gritty, as he's called, essentially, I've heard that he's called, he looks like a Muppet that has, methamphetamine addiction. And with his shriveled face, his crypt keeper lack of a nose, and then also the Muppet aspect where he's got hairs that are coming out everywhere like fur. I think he was very well designed for the mascot that the Philadelphia Flyers have had. They have always had an impeccable record when it comes to public safety within their arenas. It was never like a Roman Coliseum after a few too many drinks at a Philadelphia Flyers game. That much I can assure you. That simply is, it's not indicative to the current National Hockey League and their motto and their rules and regulations. You know, it's one of those things. I mean, obviously, for some people, when they're energized about a game, whether they're fans or opponents to the home team, unfortunately, it can fuel aggression, given depending on the circumstances, on how the tension was building between rivalry teams, in particular the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I mean, you also got to look at the history of mascots themselves, and they have had it rough. Not of late, but in decades past, they had it very rough. Quite often, rivalry teams would actually basically assault mascots because they're big, clumsy, easy targets. And it's a really lowbrow, disgusting way of doing things, but I don't know, you can't change history, that's the way it is. However, I think Gritty, on the other hand, was well designed. It was sort of meant to, I don't know, I guess if he got up in your face. I've never been to a Philadelphia Flyers game. As a matter of fact, I haven't been to a game since Vancouver played against the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim. And I didn't see a mascot then. Not that I recall, anyway. That was back in probably the 90s at some point. I couldn't even say when. So there's that aspect. I mean, the person who is in the mascot uniform needs to be protected. But in kind of like a low-key kind of way, so that, it's not evident, but it is a thing. I mean, that's already in place. People don't need me to say that. Although, I figure, trying to understand some things, work some things out. I figure me saying it on my YouTube channel will help shine a better light than Gritty is getting. He's getting a lot of insults from what I'm hearing, and mostly from Pittsburgh Penguins fans. And I mean, if you want to be honest, the city of Pittsburgh, it ain't no prize pig, if you know what I mean. It's not particularly a nice place to go to. I mean, maybe that's changed over the years, but when my father went there, he explicitly told me that no, it was a nasty place, and it wasn't even worth going to, even to watch entertaining hockey, because to watch entertaining hockey and seeing excellent players play great hockey, in particular like Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Sidney Crosby, and things like that. That doesn't mean the place that they're playing at is actually like a good place and deserving of winning a Stanley Cup. That is a factor in whether a team should win a Stanley Cup or not. I think, in my opinion, as whether does the city as a whole deserve to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, if they've been acting, in bad behavior for so long, in particular, like a lot of people say Philadelphia fans are the worst, because, because of their history and how things played out. If a situation you see that it had been building up, but you put a flat out stop to it and you change policy, change management, and move it into a different direction, I think you can leave the ghost of the past, of not just National Hockey League, but anything. I think you can leave it behind if you alter how it's governed and managed. And Gritty, he's gonna have a hard time. I mean, I'm sure it's not just one person. However, it's not an easy job going into Philadelphia with rowdy people and things like that. I mean, it's not easy for any mascot. However, Finn for Vancouver, he's done quite well, well respected. I have heard from some people that they don't like the Orca logo, and they would like that to be removed from the normal not Stanley Cup, but the normal jersey. I am hearing though that the skate jersey is going to be the alternate jersey next year, and I am very happy about that. However, people are still very happy about Finn. So Finn can stay as the mascot, but we should move past the Orca logo because it's got things against it as well. And a lot of people think, well, all evil stems from aggression and outbursts of anger and things like that, and it's not the half truth. There's a lot of things that are wrong with society and wrong with the world and wrong with any particular country or whatever, and it's not necessarily a direct thing where it's some stupid brawler or somebody who vomits behind you while you're sitting at the stadium or whatever, the arena. Because I have heard stories like that before, where somebody had left their coats over the seats and then the people behind them vomited on the seats. I would be kind of mad if that happened to me. And it didn't happen to me, but I would be kind of mad if it did. Well, Gritty is going to be especially guarded while he's doing his entertaining, act while he's performing in front of people because of the nature of the Philadelphia Flyers. And in particular, when they're playing Pittsburgh. A lot of Pittsburgh Penguins, they can't let it go. They associate it with the team as the problem when it may as well or might be a singular group of people that are associated with the team, but not quite. You couldn't say they're part of the team. They're part of the fan base, and there isn't much control over them. And I'm not making up excuses, but I'm saying look, there are times where somebody may be pretending to represent somebody else, whether they know it or not, but based on whether they're wearing their apparel or not, and they don't act accordingly to how that team would rather they preferred. And common sense should prevail, but in some instances it doesn't. And it's a very complicated issue. It's a lot of psychological, psychiatric type thinking that I am not trained for, or anything like that. I know how to go to a hockey game, have a good time, drink a little bit of alcohol, And that's that. I went to plenty of CFL games, and there was this one particular time where this fella, he sat a row in front of us, and it seemed like every time he went to go get a beer for him and his buddies, he got bigger. I don't know what it was. It was like it seemed like he was getting bigger and bigger every time he made for a beer run. And it was like, is this guy, is he turning into the Hulk or something? I don't know. I think what was BC Lions versus Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan wears the green jerseys, so it was Saskatchewan, and it was a Saskatchewan fan, and he just seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger as the more beers he had in him. Yeah, that is a true story. That happened probably early 2000s, I would say. It was definitely a long time ago, back when my grandfather was still alive. Yeah, so that was some time ago. However, we have binoculars, and those are always good to bring to sporting events. I don't know. I don't even know if you're like allowed to bring binoculars anymore. Are you allowed to bring binoculars anymore? I don't know. I haven't been to a game since the Mighty Ducks. It's been a while, as far as hockey games go. And I haven't been to too many football games, well, Canadian football games, of late. Coincidentally, the last team I watched was against Saskatchewan in their intermediate arena, which I've already forgot what was called. But anyway, this is drifting off point, as I quite often do in my videos. I'm simply saying, look, there doesn't have to be negative conversation about a character like Gritty. I don't understand this whole, it adds 100 hairs to your chest mentality if you, understand pain and you know how to control your anger and your this, that, and the other, and you can talk about hardcore subjects and things like that, and it don't phase you nothing. I'm like, is that really how you want to talk? Is that really how you want to behave? I mean, you're free to do as you wish, so long as it doesn't involve me, and if you do anything wrong, someone will come along and tell you what for. However, I do make a solid point in saying that I disagree. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's necessary. I think, problems of old should be left where they were, and, there's no reason we can't start fresh. I'm not talking like Jack Black in year one, but I am saying, you can add the rivalry factor, you can add entertainment, excitement, the thrill of your team defeating a team that was an opponent, and all that sort of stuff, and leave all the negative connotations out of it. It is the wise thing to do, because there are people who prey upon sporting events because they hate everything about it for whatever reason, and if you allow, caveman instincts to take over, then that gives them more reasoning to pursue an anti-sporting opinion. And some people, you may tell them, fuck off, you don't got an opinion, whatever. And a lot of people do that all the time. But that doesn't mean they necessarily fuck off, they don't got an opinion. They may come back, and it may be like, well, I thought I told them to fuck off. I thought they were going to fuck off. And that's not exactly what's happening here. They're definitely not doing that, and they're conspiring and conjuring and all these other horrible things. And it's like, is all that really necessary? Can't we, put more of a smiley face on it? I mean, Gritty, he's supposed to be a happy, jolly character, and there's no reason that can't be done. It's simply, verbal and social political maneuvering that'll position that into the place where it needs to be, where mascots such as Gritty can perform at their best, and the fans, they're lulled into a sense of everything they're supposed to feel at a game, and all the negative things are kind of pushed further and further and further away out of the game. Because to be honest with you, I had my Florida Panthers jersey cleaned a few days ago, and my brother had puked on it. It was the smallest puke stain. I did make a video about it, probably about a year ago now. And the thing is, like, I had no idea how to get that puke stain out, but the thing is, I got it cleaned, and the puke stain is gone, and I'm happy about that. But I wish my brother had not puked on it in the first place. It was the tiniest puke stain, and like, I don't know how it was like a red one as well. He must have eaten like a pasta marinara or something like that. I have no idea. Anyway, that's how that happened. So I'm saying, give Gritty a chance. And before you jump on the insult bandwagon and, potentially, aggravate somebody else and perpetuate this easily offended, rise up from your seat in anger kind of mentality. The rivalry can be there in games. The intensity can be there. The excitement of the game can be there. The alcohol can be there. All those things can be there, and you can pretend that you're a civilized person, at very least, if not actually be one, at one of these places by containing any extraterrestrial problems that are accumulating in your psyche because you're lowbrow and you got some mental problems, to put it gently. So yeah, like, the bottom line is, like, hey man, mascots are there for reasons. They're there to entertain. They're there to, be there and be part of the game. And I think Gritty is being given an unfair shake in this particular instance. And maybe the upper echelons of the National Hockey League know exactly what they're doing and believe they are doing right. However, I'm concerned because, the fish rots from the head down, as some may know, and when it gets to the tail end, it's very rotten sometimes. And, not to, sound like an elitist or something like that, because I'm not, but I will say that, everyone's got to clean up their act. And, it may be tempting to visualize Gritty as a punching bag, which has happened in history's past of mascots, not just for the National Hockey League, but of all sports and things like that. And if we could kind of remove that small element from the psyche of a National Hockey League player, then, or fan, I should say, then, we can make the game perfect, eventually. I mean, I'm wearing a Daniel Briere jersey, and, he would never think like that, so, I take these things into consideration when I go to purchase National Hockey League jerseys. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you people, but it's rather late for me, so I think I'm going to finish up this video right here, and I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.